as they don't have as much time as what they think, okay? So our job, again, asking those open-ended questions to be able to get a disturbing, all right? So hands up or just shout out, do you think you're gonna spend more money in retirement?
Yes.
So Lewis thinks you're gonna spend more. You guys think less, okay? Anyone think you'll spend the same?
Yeah, same.
Same, okay, so Ryan is on the button, okay, so let me just explain why. So if we've got, everybody knows what a Mars bar is here, right? Everyone's had the enjoyment of a Mars bar. So back in the, probably, showing my age, 90s, there was, maybe even 80s, there was an advert for Mars bar, okay, so their slogan, anybody know what it is? No? Anyone? No? So it's work, rest, and play. Does that ring any bells to anyone? Okay, so that's Mars bar's slogan. Okay, so when you're basically working, okay, and in your day-to-day life, what you're gonna see is something similar to this, okay? So you're working, okay, you're resting, okay, and then you've got play, all right? Work, again, we work 8:30 till 5:30 contractually, but typically you guys have all been in probably since at least 7:45 this morning, and you might have a late appointment at 6 tonight, you might not leave till 7. So you could be working anywhere between sort of maybe 8 to 10, maybe even 12 hours a day, okay? Then what we're looking at here is rest. Let's say you get 8 hours sleep, okay? And then obviously the rest is play, okay, in the evenings. Not much time by the time you leave work. You go home, you might hit the gym, you get dinner, you go to sleep. Right, so there's maybe about, I don't know, anywhere between maybe 4 hours, 5 hours for most people. So you can see here, and again, sometimes that might be a bit of a luxury, 8 hours. If you're anything like me last night, because my mum and dad are in town, I got 5. Okay, not ideal. But again, most people are gonna be hopefully aiming somewhere between 7 to 8 hours sleep. Okay, and this is when you're working. When retirement hits, okay, it kind of flips. Okay, so obviously you're not having to, you've got the same circle, same amount of time in the day, obviously, but literally it looks like that. Okay, so you've got rest and play, all right, because there's no work anymore. So when we're at work, are we spending money? Not really. You might go down to Waitrose and spend, I don't know, 20, 30 dirhams, getting a salad bowl. You might order from Ultra Cafe. Teas and coffees from Greg are free. Okay, so you're not really spending your money here. You can't spend your money when you're sleeping. You're spending your money when you've got your downtime, okay, when it's play. So then in retirement, this is again what we need to get across to clients. Again, you're still going to be resting, let's say again, 8 hours a day, but then you've got the remaining 16 hours that you're playing, and that's where you're spending money. Okay, so you know, you can imagine if you're speaking to someone who plays golf, they play golf at the weekend typically. But when they've got all week to play golf, they're going to be playing golf more often. Maybe they'll go on golf holidays. If they ski, they're going to go on ski holidays. If they're raising their kids as expat kids here, guess what? That expat bug typically will stay with that child, and they might then end up in Sydney. So then you've got parents that might have a kid in New York, you might have one in Europe, you could have one in Sydney. So you're obviously going to travel in retirement. Okay, but the point being here is a lot of people think they're going to spend less in retirement, when the actual truth is probably they're going to spend the same. Sometimes it could even be more, because you've got more time on your hands and more time to fill.
Can I just
go
in? Because the reason I said more is when I think about my own mum at the minute, like the other thing is like childcare costs. Like they're like my mum and dad are supporting my brother and sister more now because they're having to support them with the cost of their kids basically, because the cost of the kids is so high.
So they're spending more in retirement, So again, plausible circumstance there that Lewis is mentioning, guys, that could very much be the case, okay?
It just seems to me like that's going to become more and more common.
Could be, yeah, exactly. All depends on people's personal circumstance, but that's the kind of point we want to make, okay? Because a lot of people go, oh, once I'm retired, I've made my wealth, I've paid off a mortgage, and I've got less to spend. Okay, but actuality, it's more like this.
Then you start paying your kids' mortgages.
Could do, exactly. And you might want to alleviate their burden and pass that on, okay? The other thing we want to do, guys, is conjure up the image of retiree or pensioner. Okay, so just shout out, what would you rather be, a retiree or a pensioner? Retiree, right? Does anyone in here want to be a pensioner? No, okay, so again, pensioner, the image that's conjured up little old lady with a little humpback, walking stick, not got much money, probably lives in a little village, able to walk to the shop and back and get her bread and milk every day. Okay, she's not on the golf course, she's probably not in very good health. Okay, grab a seat. Don't take that one, it's covered in coffee. Not able to travel, not able to play golf, not able to do all those things, whereas a retiree is a completely different image in our minds. If we think that, our prospects are going to think the same. Okay, but we've got to paint that picture. So a retiree is someone that's fit and healthy, even though they are technically pensioners or they're retired, and they're traveling and they're active and they're fit and healthy. Okay, so again, which one would you rather be, Mr. Prospect? Okay, do you want to be the retiree or do you want to be the pensioner? Okay. So it's not about working 40, 50 years of your life to then get into the state of being a pensioner, is to become that retiree and have the choice, okay? The biggest thing that you want to get across to our clients as well, guys, is by working with us, it gives them financial freedom, okay, and it gives them flexibility. So that C word, choice, is huge, okay? So you get yourself in a position working for De Vere and you get your clients in a position working for De Vere, you choose when you want to retire. So if that looks like 50, if it looks like 55, if you love your job and you're passionate about it and you want to continue to 60, or maybe you basically hang up your boots when it's you're 50 because you've made your wealth and you follow a passion project. Okay, so maybe you like to buy property, you like to renovate, you like to either rent them out or sell them on. Okay, so you could be doing more of that, and again, giving yourself more playtime. Okay, as opposed to being in the corporate world where we obviously are mandatory to be in here 8:30 till 5:30. Same goes for our clients. Okay, so these are all the images we need to conjure up when we're discussing retirement planning. Okay, now the question that you'll see at the bottom here is, what age are you likely to retire? Please do not position it like that, because guess what you're going to get? Oh, tomorrow. Okay, or yesterday, even worse, right? And you're like, oh, if I had £1 for every time I've heard that. So again, it's how you position that question. So I would then say, Ryan, what age do you want to be financially secure? Okay, I'm not asking what age he wants to retire, but in a roundabout way I am, and I'm going to get a sensible answer from him. Okay, so he's going to either say to me, and again, these are the options clients typically give, I never want to retire, love my job, or you're going to get, I can't retire, I've got an ex-wife and 2 kids in the UK, I've got a new wife here, and I've got a baby on the way, I'm going to be working till I'm 67, okay, 70 maybe. So you're getting a kind of feel of where that person's mindset is, okay, and then you kind of work to plan that. Okay, so we don't want to be putting words or ideas in people's heads. They need to be able to tell us what age they're retiring to. Because if you go, yeah, you're going to work to 65, and someone's thinking, no, I'm going to smash it here for 10 years and retire at 55, you just turned that person off. So you really have to remember, we've got 2 ears and 1 mouth, we've got to use it in that ratio. Okay, so make sure we ask the questions and then we write everything down, okay? And just scribble away on these fact finds so you can see all the notes that I've made over the years. Just keep scribbling away, because every bit of information that person gives, you can then use that back on them to close a business. Okay, so if I ask Ryan, what age do you want to be financially secure?
40.
40, okay, aggressive. And again, if you do, very rarely would someone say 40. The earliest I get is 50 probably, but it's just because he's so young, and 40 probably feels like a lifetime out for you. What I would be then saying is, okay, that's an aggressive target. How are you planning to get there? Okay, you're 24 next week. Okay, we've got X amount of years to plan for that. What are we going to do now to ensure that happens? Okay, so I'm either going to dial in and either tell him he's completely out of the ballpark, or if that is realistic for him, which it is realistic for him, okay, how do we do it? But we've got to take action now. He doesn't have if he wants to retire at 40, he can't wait till 30, give himself 10 years, that's not going to work. He needs to get cracking now with 16 years to go, okay? Same goes for clients that then, if they're 50 and they're saying I want to retire at 55, but you've literally just gone through that fact find and there's very little cash in the bank, there's maybe a year's salary, okay, and they are basically spanking their money on a monthly basis, that person is not going to retire in 5 years' time, okay, unless they do, again, something drastic or they inherit money. Okay, so again, we need to then just be, listen, 5 years isn't realistic, let's look at a 10-year plan, and from your disposable income, this is how much we can save each month. Okay, so just make sure you make a note of that question, guys. Please don't ask what age do you want to retire, because you're going to get that kind of objection, and it then kind of loses the, loses the control, okay, and it makes it a bit frivolous. Next question on there, where would you plan to live at that time? Okay, so a lot of people don't have a clue, but normally the default position will be they go back to their home country. Okay, so if they have absolutely no idea, then plan for that. Okay, or if they say, well, I want to stay in the UAE for as long as possible, great, let's use that as a benchmark. And it's also, we all know how expensive it is to live here. It's best to then plan out for a more expensive country, because then if they end up going and retiring in the Philippines, then that's fine, because obviously they're going to live like a king or a queen based on living expenses. Okay, so always plan for whatever's more expensive. All right. Next question down there, what kind of lifestyle and hobbies do you enjoy? Okay, so hopefully you've got a little bit of that information from the report that you've built. What did you get up to the weekend? How was your weekend? Oh, it was great. I was in a golf competition at Emirates Golf Club, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so listen, you play golf, what else do you like to do? Well, typically if people are living here, they like to travel. Okay, so that's always a bit of a given. So if you're trying to prompt, you can say travel in there. Family time with the kids, whatever it might be. Okay, and then the one at the bottom, this is super pertinent, this question. In today's terms, what level of income would you like in retirement? Okay, it's a bit of a loaded question. Clients go, well, I don't know what I'm going to need in 25 years' time or 20 years' time, 15 years' time. But then what we want to do is, listen, if we take it in today's terms, what you need is income. And of course, you've done that cash flow analysis, guys, so you can reflect back to the budget. So you've got a rough idea of what their monthly expenses are. Okay, and then if you work to that, so if they've got absolutely no idea, if they've left the UK 20 years ago, no idea of cost of living, you can reflect back to that. Okay, and say, well, listen, your fixed cost as it stands just now, based on this, okay, if we just maintain what we're spending, this is what we need to start. Okay, other people are going to be really sharp and go, I'm going to be living back in the UK and I know I need £5 a month. I want 60 grand a year from my savings. Then I've got 2 properties, one I might live in, one's going to be rental income. Okay, and then I've got a business on the side. So they know they've got additional income, or maybe they've got a frozen pension, could be anything. Okay, but we need to just drill down on that. So what I'll always say to them is, listen, do it in today's terms, because what I'll do is I'll factor in inflation between now and 20 years' time. We then have a figure and we can work it back. So what we can then see is, from doing your budget, from the surplus disposable income, we can see what we actually need to save towards hitting that target. Now, they might be completely worlds apart, but at least we know that your target's either pie in the sky, it's too aggressive and we need to refine it, or it's maybe super achievable, okay, or somewhere in between. All right, so again, that's why you've got to do the fact find in this order, guys, so we have that, okay? On that point, I'll come on to it at the end. Rianne has put this, as well as the flow chart for business, on the share drive. So I'll show you guys where to find that, okay? Once we've got the number, okay, what we then want to do is a calculation. So back in the days where we never really used spreadsheets, we used to have to do it manually. Thank God that's not the case anymore. And we've got something that looks far more professional. So if you have a little look at the TV, guys, I'll log this up. There we go. Okay, so this is a spreadsheet, fairly basic, very easy for anyone to understand, and it's Callum in our team. So in Team O, if you guys know who Callum is, he's the Aussie guy. He created this, okay, and it's really simple. He's an absolute whiz kid on Excel. This one's the basic one. I'm just going to show you this one for retirement. You can see how the budget is attached at the bottom. So again, that's basically what I've shown you yesterday. So you can again use that there. But he's created this, and then there's a more sophisticated one. So when we're actually doing client reviews, there's one where you can actually put in everything the client has already. Okay, but I don't want to start on that, just letting you guys know that one is available, and we will have Callum do a training session on that. Okay, so this is one I did earlier. So this was Johnny and Gillian. Okay, you can see at the top there, the retirement calculator. So I reviewed them at 4:30 last Friday. Johnny is 39, desired retirement age is 57. Okay, so they have a 25-year retirement plan. We set it out back in 2016, and that's with Zurich. Okay, so here, guys, the yellow boxes are what is available for you to edit. Okay, and then the ones that are clear, just white background, you don't touch. So you can basically when I send this to you guys, you can mess around, play with it yourself with your own age. But Johnny's 39. 57 is the desired retirement age, and inflation at 3% on average. So what they want is 10,000. This is actually done in euro, this whole spreadsheet. But again, that doesn't mean anything. It could be euro, it could be dirham, you could be talking sterling or dollar. Okay, so it's not specific to currency. So they want 10,000 euro a month, and then this calculates it for us. So obviously 10,000 euro times 12 is 120,000. And then we adjust it with inflation. Okay, so the required investment pot is 4 million. Okay, that big number there. Okay, that is going to look crazy to a lot of people, especially if they have no savings. They're going to like, how on earth can I get to 4 million? Okay, but literally they've only been here since 2016, and this is the position they've put themselves in. So they have cash of €242,000 sat in a bank. What kind of conversation have I just had with them on that?
Why is that there?
Correct, okay, 0%, so you can see growth rate. You're able to, I mean, if he was getting 1.2%, then great, we put that in, but that is sitting 0%. So I've then had a disturbed conversation with this existing client to say, you've got €242,000, is that earmarked for something? So if he turns around to me and says, yeah, it's for property, fine, fair enough. But if that's just cash in the bank, that's a huge overweight position, which is what I told them, and therefore, and again, they are cautious clients, they'll probably keep about 142 and they'll top up their platform by 100,000. Okay, so again, I've got that to look forward to this week. Investments. So all in with investments, they've got €345,000. Okay, so again, those investments are in different currency, but then I've just streamlined it all into euro because they're Irish and they're more than likely to go back to Ireland. Okay, so in that respect, that 345,000 is made up from investment accounts that they've got in Ireland. They've got a Sarwa account here. They've got the Devere platform, so that's in there too with 200,000 in it. And then we've got property. So they've got property back in Ireland, which is €300,000, hasn't actually grown. And then they've got the pension plan. So the pension's what I'm managing. So this €304,000 is their Zurich Vista retirement plan. It's a regular savings plan. It is in dollar, but then we're just converted it to euro again to streamline this. Okay, so we're not switching and flipping between currency. Monthly investment. That's what they save on a monthly basis, so $3,071. And again, growth rates have been really conservative. So for their investment portfolio is growing at a far higher rate. They've got notes, etc. Some are spitting out 20+% a year, and then they've got more conservative prime markets, maybe giving 8% a year, but we've just put that in benchmark, nice and cautious at 5%. Their property, we've said 3% growth, and then 5% on their pension, and then their monthly investment, because that's been funded into the pension, 5%. So the position they're currently in is 1.19 million, okay? And that means they're actually 83% to target as it stands. So I can give them a pat on the back, but we are still 17% short. So therefore they've got to be doing more. Okay, so how do you work that out? You just drop down to step 5, highlights the shortfall of 697,000. And in step 6, if they're doing monthly savings with us, it shows us with an expected growth rate how much they need to top up by. So let's say again, conservatively, let's say 6%, okay, on a reg, then they need to top up by €1,802, which again, their disposable income is 36,000 dirham, so it would be affordable for them to top that up, and they basically hit that shortfall of that 700,000 almost within the next 17 years remaining on the plan, okay? If they don't want to do that, alternatively, they invest more of a lump sum. So again, let's use the figure of 6%. It's going to be 245,000 is what they need to invest. That'll grow at 6%, and that will then hit that shortfall for them. So they will then hit, ultimately, the required investment pot of 4 million, okay, just over. That then allows them to take that 5%, which will equate to 120,000 income annual. Okay, guys? So this is more for you guys to just have a play around. That's the best way in order for you to understand it. And then Callum will do an in-depth one. Okay, so you'll go through this again because this page is literally attached to the one that's got a lot more behind it. Okay, but there's no point in sending too much info. And again, you're probably not managing too many clients at this point in time. It's more important that you've got that for a first. Okay, so it's really great to show them, okay, they've either got nothing, so they're maybe at 2 or 3% to target. We've got a lot of work. They might be halfway there or anything in between, okay? And then again, great to use that on reviews because then you can show them how they're tracking, okay? So that's basically where you would then, that calculation, you pop it here on your blank page. Okay, so if you're wondering what that's for, it's for calculations. If we flip over onto the next page, we've got another blank page. Okay, so this final blank page on the back of the fact find is for what we call a product build. So product build literally is you closing the appointment. Okay, so you're saying, okay, Mr. or Mrs. Client, where we've actually ran through is we've got too much disposable income. Okay, so we're earning 80,000, we're spending 40, we've got a 40 surplus, and that is quite normal, guys. So if you've got double income, joint income, typically they'll spend one salary and then, or 50%, and they've got 50% disposable. Okay, so you can let clients know, because clients always want to benchmark themselves. Is that about right, Claire? Is that what everybody's doing? Okay, so you can give them a kind of feel for that. So you can highlight that. This is where we need to give some assistance, because what we're seeing is this is not building up in your cash account. So therefore, as much as we've gone through fixed costs, you're just spending money on frivolous things. So maybe it is spending more doing brunches, maybe you're hitting the malls, maybe you're just spending more and not being aware of it. So we need to take some of that percentage, and again, remember guys, no more than 50% of surplus is what we can invest, okay? So that's a nice way to disturb if you can see that that surplus isn't building up in the current account. The other way is, if it is building the current account, great. Okay, Andrew, I can see you're a great saver because the surplus is building, okay? But the problem with this is sat in cash at 0%. So what we need to do is take some of this, invest it into lump sum, and you're actually in a fortunate position where that surplus can be fed into a monthly savings plan where you've got compounding over time and you've got dollar cost averaging. Okay, so again, you're letting them see all the options that they've got available to them. That then is going to then be able to solve problems. So whether it's for kids' education, you've got the monthly savings plan, or whether it's for lump sum, you can use it for kids' education, retirement planning, wedding, property purchase, whatever you need it for, okay? Pensions, we're covered there, so again, that might have a nice big asterisk as well because they have no pension, or they've got 3 frozen pensions in the UK, and we're sending out letters of authority for that, okay? And then when we flip over here, guys, property, so somebody might be quite overweight position in property, which is great, and if they love it, as we said yesterday, they can buy property here in the UAE to diversify, because what you'll typically find is most people, if they are into property, they'll buy in their hometown, and they'll typically buy within a 15-mile radius. Okay, so I'm from Glasgow. I do have a property in Glasgow, and if I was going to buy again in the UK, I would buy in that region probably, okay, because I don't know any better. Again, with clients, it's the same. We have to then educate them, listen, you've got your property in Glasgow, which is great, it's better to diversify. We work with API Global, they've got fantastic developments in Birmingham, London, Manchester, and it's great for you to diversify. So same amount of money going in, but if Glasgow then starts to slump, or the Scottish property market slumps, you've then got Manchester that's hopefully then buoyant, or Birmingham. So again, diversify, okay? Same argument goes for here. If they own property in the UK, have you thought about diversifying and purchasing here? Okay, obviously here it's tax-free, rental income is typically higher than what you would get in the UK as well. Okay, so that's how we tie that in there, guys. And then obviously we're coming down to what they want in retirement, so we just reiterate that. So then let's say we're on that product build at the back and we're looking at getting a regular savings plan, let's say, okay? So what we need for that is we need to be able to close it off, and we're going to get their buy-in. Okay, so this is where again we're asking questions, but we're actually building the product as we go along. Okay, so Ryan, you're earning in dirham, so it makes sense that when we're saving monthly and we've decided out of the 40,000 you've got monthly, we want to put 5,000 a month towards kids' education. So Stephen and Catherine have then got university fees. So that 5,000 dirham is best it will be in US dollar with the dirham being paid. Are you happy with that? Okay, so again, you get the agreements, guys, okay? So currency is the first one. Okay, you would then basically just write down US dollar, okay? Next one is frequency. Okay, so that's basically how often the client wants to pay into the policy. If you're doing a monthly savings plan, obviously it's going to be monthly. Okay, but it could be an Ardan, and maybe the client has the intention to top it up quarterly. It could be monthly, it could be semi-annually, okay? And then the third point here would be method of payment, so MOP. So if you're doing a regular savings plan, all of the institutions accept credit cards, okay? And as we discussed yesterday, clients love that if they're getting their Marriott Bonvoy points, Skywards miles, cashback, depending what the perks are for that credit card. Okay, so they can use that free of charge. It's deducted every month. The client doesn't need to think about it. All they have to do is make sure they clear their credit card every month. Okay. If they're doing an Ardan, then it's going to be a bank transfer. Okay, so again, you can write bank transfer if that's what it's going to be. Okay. Number 4, security. Okay, so again, most of our products, guys, are in the Isle of Man. If we're using DIP, obviously it's Mauritius. If we're using Moventum platform, which not many people do anymore, it's in the Bank of Luxembourg. Okay, but typically what we've got, Jersey, Guernsey, Isle of Man, majority of which are in Isle of Man. So you can talk about the security that gives our clients, okay? And then number 4 feeds in nicely to confidential. Okay, so especially if you've been given a referral, so let's say Lewis has referred me to Ryan, Ryan's going to want reassurance from me that I'm not then going to discuss Ryan's business with Lewis. Okay, so again, the front of that fact find says it in nice big letters, and like I said yesterday, I circled up the client. So as much as Lewis has kindly put us in touch, Ryan, everything you and I discuss is confidential between us and vice versa. So when you want to then refer me and introduce me to your friends, colleagues that might benefit from having this conversation, you've got peace of mind that that is the case. So I've planted the seed that he's going to now give me a referral because Ryan was referred to me as well. Okay, so confidentiality, super important. Next is going to be the flexibility of the plan. So again, if we're doing a monthly savings plan, we can increase and we can decrease our payments. Okay, we can stop and start. Okay, so let's say it's a female and they are then on mat leave. They might want to pause the payments and then start again when they're back in employment. It could be maybe that the client has been made redundant. Typically clients are back in work within 3 months, so they might need to pause it and then they can start again. Maybe, especially in this neck of the woods, people take sabbaticals, so they might want to go travel Southeast Asia for 6 months, stop paying in, and then obviously pay back in again when they're back in employment. The only thing you want to make that clear to the client is it will be detrimental for the target we're trying to get to. Okay, and then often they'll be like, well, I'll just invest more once I'm then back in employment. Okay. The next one.
Do it during the establishment period.
Correct, yeah, not an ICP. That's going to be product specific, guys. What I'm giving you is kind of overview, all right? But this will basically adapt product specific, okay? Next one on here, so we've got free switching. So if we do need to make changes, again, depending on product, I'm kind of basing this around a regular savings plan for retirement, for schooling, which is or for university rather, which is the main things we look at when we're doing monthly savings, but they can switch funds free of charge, okay? So they can look at buying into the Vanguard 500 fund, they could then switch out of that. DVAM, let's say, is created 12% growth within a year, maybe they want to sell out, buy back into DVAM Focus as opposed to equity income, okay? So you've got the ability to do that too. Other things to cover, number 9 would be lump sums, okay? So again, depending on the product, but you can take lump sums out of the portfolio, okay? And of course, you can inject lump sums into specific portfolios as well, all right? Number 10, if we look at that together, internet access, okay? So I would always say, Ryan, is it important for you to have online access? This day and age, nobody's going to turn around and say, no, I don't want access, okay? But it's another selling point, guys. So online access. And for you, the way you want to position that is you will have online access direct with the institution they're replacing your business with, but because we're leaders in financial technology, we've developed a DeVere Core app. So as soon as you become a client, I'll be able to send you the invite code. It expires within 5 days, so take 1 minute, literally takes less than, to download the app, but you then have everything at a touch of a button on your phone. So if they have multiple products with us, what's really cool about Core for the client is they can see their Ardan platform and their retirement savings plan, okay, at a touch of a button, without the cumbersome logging into Hansard or logging into Zurich or logging into Ardan, okay? So make sure you pitch that. Again, it's value added service. And obviously if you're pitching something that's got SMF on it, or DFM I should say, that 1% service fee, then again, that's where you're giving more value, okay? And not many other competitors would have that. Okay, number 11, beneficiary. Okay, this is where it gets serious again. Okay, because clients are probably getting quite excited, they're getting stuff in place. But seriously, Ryan, God forbid something were to happen to you, who would you want to nominate as your beneficiary? And then again, quiet. If you ask a question, guys, don't jump in to answer it yourself. Don't be like, oh, would you want it to be your brother? Or would you want it to be your sister? Do you want it to be your mum, dad? Let Ryan answer that. So who would you want?
Sure, don't really have anyone to be my beneficiary.
Well, I know you've got your gran, you've got your mum.
Yeah, mum's probably going to last August.
Mum, okay, cool. And of course, you can change your beneficiary. So again, if that is the kind of response you get, you need to then push back. Okay, so who's your next of kin? Who would you phone if it was an emergency? Okay.
Change his name to Oliver Twist.
Exactly. So could be wife, okay, 100%. Maybe it's going to be mum and dad. Okay, so mad 50-50. Okay, maybe it's just going to be mum and it's going to be 100%. What I'll always ask for at this time, because typically institutions need it, guys, you need their full name. And again, what I'm trying to do is give you as much info, because if you get all this on the first, you're going to be able to send that paperwork, it's going to be nice and clean, rather than I need this, or I need that, or I didn't ask for this. So just take notes of this. So for beneficiary, you need full name, you need date of birth, you need their email, you also need their mobile number, and you need their town and country of birth. Okay, and again, for beneficiaries, you can have multiple, typically up to 5 beneficiaries. All right. When they've given you that information, they've really thought about it, okay, because they're thinking, God, yeah, if I die, okay, it's going to go to my sister 100%, or whoever it is. And when they then give you their sister's full name, her date of birth, that's again personal information, so you know you're getting buy-in, okay, and everything's going as it should. If they say they want to think about it, fine, just say no problem. On our next meeting, you can then let me know who you'd want to list as your beneficiary. Okay, so you kind of let them know that's their homework. All right. Then you're looking at risk versus return, guys. Okay. So with risk, everybody is probably familiar with the scale that we use. It's universal. So you've got defensive, which is 0 to 2% return, cautious 2 to 4%, balanced is 4 to 6%, moderate growth is 6 to 8, and 8 to 10 is growth. Okay. So again, if it was Ryan, and Ryan's not very sure, so I would position that scale for Ryan. I'd ask him, Ryan, where would you say you fall on that scale?
Growth.
Growth, okay, perfect. He should be growth. He's 24 next week. He's got all that time ahead of him till he gets to 40, but he'll probably work a bit longer. So growth is what he should be looking at, okay? So 8 to 10, and it's growth orientated. Okay, so you then know risk appetite, and that obviously then reflects to investment strategy. If Ryan hits me with, I don't really know, I would then be like, well, Ryan, look, you're only 24. We're planning for 40, which is an aggressive target, but we do have 16 years ahead of us. So we can start on growth. There's no money in the plan anyway, and we're going to have our first quarterly review in 3 months' time. So all we're going to have in there for saving 5,000 dirhams a month is a value of 15,000 dirham in dollar equivalent. Okay, and we can change risk at any time. Okay, just like we can switch funds, you can change risk appetite. All right, so with someone like Ryan at 24, that scale, as he gets closer to retirement, we're then obviously going to switch that risk and reduce it over time. Okay. And then you're going to look at product. Okay, so we've got the product. You could call it Hansard, Infinity Wealth, or maybe you're using the Royal London PIMS, or it could be anything. So product, you would detail that. And then you've got the provider as well. Okay. Term. So again, be very clear for the get-go. Don't leave anything unturned. So you want everything out on the open on that first. So if I said to Ryan, okay, and again, in the Middle East, guys, we don't do plans for longer, well, in the UAE specifically, monthly savings plans longer than 15 years, okay? So Ryan, I know you want to take it to 40, but actually the maximum term that we would do for clients is up to 15 years. So we're actually going to be a little bit ahead of where we want to be. If you want to extend once we get to 39, we can always look at doing that. But your term is 15 years, okay? And then number 17, guys, I always like to write the word comfortable. Now your monthly disposable income, Ryan, is 40,000, but the comfortable amount you wish to start, based on target as well, is 5,000 dirham, which is 1,357 US dollars. Okay. And then he's given me, yeah, we can start with that, and I can always look to increase. Okay.
Sorry,
yep.
just on that point, I've just got an illustration for a 25-year reg. So are you saying that you never do that?
Typically not. It needs to be signed off by manager if it's here. Is your client here in the UAE?
Yep.
Yeah, so it needs to be signed off by your manager. Yeah. The reason being is there's too many people that don't actually see a 25-year plan through. So we're always better doing that shorter term. You get less complaints. Again, this is a kind of new thing, like I showed you before. Johnny and Gillian on the screen that I gave you that demonstration on, their 25-year plan, and I set that out in 2016. Some clients are totally bought into it, but there was a lot of kind of noise, especially in the UAE, with clients that had committed to too long a term.
So I can explain both options and then say, look, the goal is still the same in terms of monthly saving, but
Yep.
we're just going to reduce the plan
Yep.
down a little bit.
Yeah. Or speak to your manager, they might be happy to sign that off for you.
Okay.
Okay. So comfortable monthly amount, 5,000 dirhams a month, so it's just a touch over $1,300. Still leaving you with 35,000 dirhams a month, Ryan. So I'm more than happy to take you on board as my client. And again, as a first-time client, I feel that that's going to be very comfortable for you. We're going to meet on a quarterly basis, so that's point number 18, and that's the last point here, guys. So point number 18, quarterly review meetings. Remember, again, this is where you add value and clients want to know they're being looked after, because this is all quite scary and daunting for a lot of people. Now, they don't know where to start. Yeah, of course. I can type this up, guys, and we can put it on Share Drive just so you can read it.
I'll be typing it.
You got it? Awesome. Thank you, Ree. Okay, so again, when you're maybe positioning 1% DFM fee on this, guys, again, that's where your value lies. Okay, so quarterly review meetings where you're able to discuss anything that's new to market. You obviously can give them an update on how their product is performing. They can also let you know if there's any changes in their personal circumstances. Okay, because guess what? You kind of go through that journey of life, as cheesy as that sounds, but you do with your clients. So I've been looking after clients since 2010. So back then, they might have been single guy, okay, and maybe late 20s themselves. And then, 10 years in now, they've now got married, they've bought a property, maybe bought a second property, they've maybe got a kid on the way. So again, as life changes for them, you're adapting that financial landscape, okay, and adjusting that for them. So again, sell that quarterly review meeting really hard, okay? Always let clients know they can get back in touch with you anytime. They don't have to wait to the quarterly review for a review. If they want to speak to you, you might have reviewed them in January, but then they've got the bonus beginning of March. You're not going to wait till April. Okay, so you want to encourage clients, listen, always reach out. As we've said, I'm always on WhatsApp. If you're happy with WhatsApp mail will get back to you within 24 hours. Okay, but then just make sure whatever you're pledged, don't let them down. Okay, never overpromise, under-deliver. Should be the other way around. Okay, so if you see a client today and you say, right, okay, I will have, what's today? Today, Wednesday, is that right? So Wednesday, I'll have this in your inbox by Friday, close of business. Get it in their inbox today, okay, or latest tomorrow. But don't overcommit yourself where you're like, I'll get it to you today, where you've then got back to back, and then obviously it looks like you're letting them down when they've received it tomorrow morning. Okay, so again, it's just about positioning. Okay, guys? Okay, so how you close this off, this is really important, okay? This is where you've got to create urgency. So the people that are top in the business will create a really good level of urgency to the client. It should never just be a case of, yeah, come back to me when you want, because guess what? They're not going to come back to you. Okay, they're all engaged at that point in time in the meeting, but afterwards they get busy at work. They then go home. They then hit a brunch at the weekend, speak to somebody else and go, oh, don't use Devere, use my guy. My guy works for blah, blah, blah. Use them instead. Okay, and then all of a sudden you're ghosted. So you want to make sure at the end of that first, okay, great, Bob, what I'm going to do is I'm in the office this afternoon. Luckily, I've got an hour's admin time. I will have all of this sent to you by close of business today, again, as long as you can commit to that. So what I would be sending them is an illustration and my proposal, okay? For follow-up, okay, I've got actually the same time in my diary available tomorrow. Does that work for you? And I literally pull up my diary on my phone. So if I'm on Zoom or here face-to-face, I'll pick up my phone and go, let me just open my diary. And I'm looking at it. Now, of course, if it's a second, you're going to clear your diary no matter what. But I'll look at it and go, same time tomorrow works if that works for you. And again, if you've got somebody who's engaged and coming along the garden path with you, they're going to be like, 1 o'clock doesn't work so well, but I could do 1:30 or 2. And I can go, okay, actually, yeah, my next one's not till 3, so that works. So we'll put it in for 1 o'clock tomorrow. Okay, great. I'll get Ryan to send you, or Lewis to send you a meeting request. It's in for 1 o'clock tomorrow. I'll have sent this to you tonight, so have a little read over it. Any questions, just note them down, and we'll run through any outstanding at 1 o'clock tomorrow. In the meantime, Bob, what I need you to do is send me a copy of your passport, your visa, front and back copy of Emirates ID, and I need a proof of address. So if you've got your DEWA bill, it's in your name, yeah? And again, that rhetorical yeah gets the, yeah, I've got that. Or they're going to say, no, listen, my company rents my property for me, but what I can do is get a letter from them. Yeah, great. Or you might have to tell them, get a letter from your employer that then shows that you live at that address. Okay, but again, what you're doing is planting that seed because you're letting them know this is what I need from you to be able to get the ball rolling. Okay, now if they go, and let's say if you're in their office, quite often they'll be phoning through to Maria on reception, can you buzz Claire over my passport, visa, and all my documents? So if you're walking out that first with a copy of that person's passport, which is our most prized possession, right? The most important document we all have is our passport. Okay, nobody really needs a birth certificate, but we need our passport at all times to travel. So if you've got that passport whilst leaving that office after that first, that appointment's not going to swerve the next day at 1 o'clock. Okay, nothing's going to miraculously pop up out the diary and you can't make the meeting. So again, you know you've got buy-in. And again, it's just about being assumptive. Okay, because again, you've got to remember, guys, the client, even if they've sat with financial or prospect, if they've sat with a financial advisor before, they don't know how we work, and they certainly don't know how you work. So you need to set out, these are my rules of engagement. Okay, and again, you just do it in a really super friendly way, but really assumptive. Can you just buzz that over to me? Better still, if you got it on your phone, most of my clients just WhatsApp it to me. So if that's easier for you, Ryan, just WhatsApp it over. Okay, and Ryan's like, I literally walk out of a meeting, or I'm sitting there and he's like, picks up his phone and he's sent it already. Okay, so again, we then know we can cross-reference, and do please cross-reference, guys, things like spelling for name on passport. Quite often you'll be surprised, either you've misheard date of birth, okay, and you're a bit excited when you're taking your notes, or sometimes I've even had clients give me wrong date of birth. Not intentionally, but they're just like, oh God, yeah, no, I've missed a year, or God, no, that's not my birthday month, because they're maybe just not being that engaged. So again, just check that that matches with the passport, okay? The other thing to be mindful of is the visa number, or the visa copy will have passport number in there. If it's an old passport, you're going to need the old passport that matches that visa, as well as a new copy of the passport. Okay, so just have a quick glance on passport number that appears on the visa and make sure that it matches the passport they've given you. If it doesn't, you need to ask for the old copy of passport too. Okay, and that is literally it. When you then have those documents, save them on Core, okay, because that client is then hopefully going to be yours for life. Okay, yours for as long as you intend to be a financial advisor. So you're going to be using those documents until obviously they expire. So they might start with a monthly savings plan for retirement planning right now. 3 months down the line, which is Q2 in April, you're going to review them, you can review the plan, and then you're going to be like, listen, we did mention we're sitting with €200,000 in cash. Let's look at something there. I've got something that would fit the bill. Based on your appetite for growth, Ryan, I've actually got a tech note giving 4% per quarter. Okay, even if we look at starting small, you get 200,000, let's look at 20,000, 30,000 at your toe in the water, and I'll show you how we can get passive income on that on a quarterly basis on that lump sum. Okay, so just keep teeing it up. Okay, open channels of communication, and then at the back of the fact find, guys, just to finish off, this is where you've got your little, I like to call it shopping list, but these are all the products that we can sell. Okay, so at the top there, you've got family protection, so we covered that yesterday, life insurance and critical illness and how important that is. We've got succession planning, so wills, IHT, wealth preservation. So if you're discussing IHT, you might want to draft Darren or Rebecca into that meeting. Education planning, like we're discussed today, short to medium term savings, that could be for property purchase, it could be for wedding, it could be for any kind of like big ticket. Regular savings for retirement, which would be a monthly savings plan. Lump sum, okay, again, it could be the DIP app, it could be Ardan, it could be a PPB. And then we've got Forex. Every single client, okay, needs an FX account. If you've not dealt with Lauren Greaves, she is amazing, she's extremely responsive. All you have to do, again, to sell value to the client, Bob, do you transfer money home? Okay, let's say Bob's from London. Yeah, I do. And again, you'll find that out when you're doing the cash flow analysis on the budget. So yeah, clearly, so I've got a fixed cost of £5,000 that I need in dirhams that I need to send to the UK every month. Okay, how do you do that? Are you using an exchange house, or are you just doing bank to bank? So if they say they're using bank to bank, we can beat the bank rate by up to 4%, and it's a complimentary account. And the whole purpose of opening that, guys, that client's then yours. Okay, so without them actually having to sign up for a regular savings plan, you've now brought them in and they're a client of yours, so that's half the battle.
So in average, the difference is 4% between the bank rate and universal service, right?
Yep, up to. So depending, obviously, the rate that Lauren can negotiate, but we don't take a spread, the banks do, and that's where we can save the client money. Okay, you would have seen that Lauren sent out a league table yesterday. People in red were named and shamed because they've done no transfers for FX yet. We're only week 3. And then people that are thinking green are winning. So Sam's at the top with like 800,000 that he's transferred already. And then Lauren does a little FX league as well. So there's prizes for people that will come top. Okay, you do get a bit of commission on that. It's nothing to shout home about unless you do a massive commission deal, or a massive FX deal rather, but you might get 20 quid here, 50 quid here, 150, 200 quid, depending obviously on the trade size. But again, it's more about value added to the client, and you're saving them money. If they're going to get more bang for their buck by using DeVere FX with Lauren when they're sending their dirham to sterling, then obviously why wouldn't they? It's a no-brainer. Okay.
I still want to know how much money Reece moved for that £30,000 record that he did in 1 year in FX.
So ask him. He'll tell you.
I've asked him, he won't.
So definitely, you always want to make sure that not only you just talk about one product, but you'll always then add multiple. Ideally, guys, the average now is each client has on average 3.2 products with us. So again, don't just be the one-trick pony where you've just signed them up for a reg. Okay, because again, the more value you can give them, the more products they've got with us, the less likely that client will use another investment house or a bank or another IFA, and they'll keep everything in-house with us. Okay, so again, remember, we've got everything under the umbrella of DeVere. We want them doing their lump sum with us, their FX, their property, their mortgage, remortgage in the UK. Everything should be done under us. Okay, so speak to everybody about that FX, because there's nobody living here that's just going to keep dirham. Okay, they will definitely send that money internationally at some point. Okay. Next on there, pension transfer analysis. That's where you got your LOA for your SIPs for the frozen pension. Then you've got property investment, and then other areas including vault. You could have crypto, you could have passporting on there. There are other things we do, but again, the crypto doesn't really make any money. It's not a huge kind of spin for us, but if a client does want crypto app, then we've got it. Okay. This bit here, client introductions, is massive for you guys. Okay, when you're first starting out, the only way that it's great when you get your first deal, you're going to be totally elated. It's that roller coaster of emotion, which is sales in general. What you try and do is smooth that out, okay, because the highs are incredibly high, and when you're struggling, it can be very, very low, all right? You just want to make sure that, yes, you've got that sale, but that is not the be-all and end-all. That's your high for today when that's done, and yes, you'll get paid it hopefully within 2 weeks' time if the client's paying immediately. The 2-week time turnaround is typical for a reg. But what then happens? Okay, where's your next deal coming from? Do you want to have to get back on the phones and cold call, or do you want to be smart and ask for that introduction on the first meeting? Okay, so you've just imparted probably an hour and 20 minutes with that person, is my average time, an hour to an hour and 20, doing a first and doing a fact find. And then I'll always say, Ree, who else do you know that'd benefit from having a meeting like this with me? Okay, good, you know what, my sister's just moved here, she definitely needs help, she is terrible with money. Okay, great, and you're saying that you play tennis, who'd you play tennis with? Okay, Noel did a great little line on the launch last Monday, a week past Monday rather, where he got up and did referrals, so hopefully you guys all saw that. There was like 15 ways to ask for refs, but he's saying, okay, who do you golf with? Okay, that's your 4-ball, and who takes the money? Because that's the guy I want to speak to. Okay, so again, a little bit tongue-in-cheek if that suits your personality. If it doesn't, then obviously use something else that does work for you. But make sure you do not leave that blank. As new starters, you've got to have your next introduction, because that's where you then get up and running really quickly, okay, and start to build that ref circle. At the bottom, if you're being face-to-face, get the pen, turn the fact find around, pass it to him. Can you sign there for me just to say that everything we've recorded is accurate and correct, true information? And then we've got the agreed action points at the bottom. So I'll then bring it back. I sign off on the fact find as well, and it's dated. And at the bottom, agreed action points. So as we've said, Ryan, I'm going to open up the FX account with Lauren. That's a simple email introduction. You can expect that today. And as I said, I will send the retirement proposal. That'll be in your inbox by close of business. And we'll catch up tomorrow, 1 o'clock. I'll be here sharp for you. Just a reminder, just send me your passport, visa, front and back copy of Emirates ID, and your proof of address, and we're good to go. Any other questions? Okay, there you go. No, that's been great. That's been so informative. Thanks so much. I feel like there's a weight off my shoulders. That's all the kind of feedback, positive feedback you should be getting. If you're not getting that, you're always going to get that kind of sense of this person's not really bought in, and you need to kind of try and do a bit of a disturb. Okay, what did you take most from the fact find? Okay, or they're going to try and wrap it up quickly. You know they're not really listening. Okay, so don't waste your time with people like that. But if you do it that way, guys, 9 times out of 10, you've got a good chance of getting that second booked, and that'll turn to business. Okay, so that, with 9 minutes to go, is the first meeting complete. Any questions?